Hey, it's Kasim with Solutions 8, and I'm actually kind of excited about this video. We have some data to share on Google's search terms update. The data comes from our buddies over at Tinuiti. They're, interestingly, a competitor of mine, but they also offer some software that looks pretty compelling. I've never used them. I know nothing about them. I can't give you the stamp of approval, but I do know that they issue some of the best data and reporting in the paid ad space. So give credit where credit's due. Well done, Tinuiti. Make sure that you sign up or subscribe or whatever, because they offer quite a bit in the way of guides. An example being this one. So this is their State of the Union, basically. They issue this every quarter. And I've been getting a lot out of it. The thing that really, though, blew me away, and the reason I'm recording this video, is they're the very first group I've seen, let me blow this up a little bit, that issue data on Google's search term update. So if you don't remember, or you're not familiar, Google basically came out and said, we're no longer going to give you 100% of all the search terms that you paid for. So historically, you could go in the Google Ads dashboard, and there's the keyword that you bid on, and then there's a search term that triggered that keyword. And you could see every single search term that resulted in a paid click. And this was awesome because it allowed you to identify negative keywords that you might want to, use to help push things away. Identify pockets of, additional, expansion opportunities. You might want to pull something out and create a phrase match or exact match campaign around a specific keyword depending on its performance, etc. You actually got to see what was happening. Well, Google came out and said, we're not going to give you everything. We're going to limit it. They cited privacy concerns. I call absolute total epic BS. Google is the last company on the planet that's worried about privacy, as we know, because they track everything that we do and make all of that readily available. Really, what I think is happening here is they're trying to, very effectively, trying to take the control away from the advertisers so that we have to rely on the machine learning. So they are narrowing down on the search terms that are available. However, the thing that they didn't do is tell us to what degree. And if you read the documentation, I've got a video on this if you have any interest in going back and looking at it. But if you read the documentation that Google issued, it's very well worded. They make it sound like, it's microscopic, minuscule, you're not even going to notice, it's no big deal, don't freak out. And we're like, all right, well, I hope that's true. Here's Tinuiti saying, no, we've got advertisers that are spending many millions of dollars on Google search ads. This is the impact. And you can see the spend share attributed to search queries before and after. And we've lost 24% on desktop, 21%, 18%, 11%, which is interesting. This is interesting, so we've got US text ads versus US shopping ads. Desktop had the lowest drop, but it also had the lowest attribution to start with. So I'm going to call foul there right out of the gate. And it's not that this is a good thing, it's that it just started bad. Here's a 24% drop, 23% drop. So we're losing a quarter of the available data. So that's not what Google said. This is, their whole like, oh, it's no big deal, you're not even going to notice. This is, effectively 25% in some areas of search terms that you're not going to be able to see. Now, what's interesting about this is Tinuiti does the right thing, and they dive into recommendations as to what people need to do. So they say, obviously shore up your keyword profiles, use tighter matches. The issue, though, is contrast that with Google's recent recommendations. I made a video on this yesterday. Here's an article that was issued 3 days ago. What Google wants us to do is start using broad match coupled with smart bidding. So here we are in a position where we can't see search terms. You can't actually see when there is an expansion, when Google does overreach and deliver traffic that isn't relevant or isn't quality to us. We're not able to see that, okay? And now Google is saying, not only are we taking visibility away from you, but we're also building a mechanism that's geared towards you using tools that allow us as much freedom and latitude as we want and need. So I'm not going to let you see what I do, but I also would like you to give me longer rope, please. Which is insanity. Now, obviously, these two things, the narrative isn't that linear. They're issuing this dictate on one hand, and then a month later, they're like, oh, by the way, you should switch over to broad match, even though you can't see your search terms. This is so frustrating. It's so frustrating. I'm a big fan of Google. I drank the Google Kool-Aid long ago. Google's made me a lot of money. But man, this is thin ice. Thin freaking ice. I mean, so close to nefarious that it's... I'm going to stop because I don't want to get banned from YouTube or whatever, but I would call this a low integrity move. To take away our ability to see 25% of the search terms that are triggered, that are costing us money, and then also to turn right around and tell advertisers that, hey, you're going to be at a disadvantage if you don't start using broad match. Absolute epic doohunky horse poo. I'm trying not to curse. Here's what's interesting, and big ups to, by the way, this report is amazing to the Tenuity people. Just so impressed with what they've done here. You can see how much more a non-attributed search costs. And it's as much as 135% more. So not only are we not seeing what's going on, but we're also, it's very obvious that it's costing us. It would be different if you couldn't see what was going on, but it made you money. That's smart shopping. Smart shopping, by the way, you can't see anything that's going on. You have no idea what the hell Google's doing, but for some reason it just the money's rolling in, and so we all keep our mouths shut, or at least the people that know how to use it. But not being able to see what's going on and then seeing, significant spikes in costs and decreases in efficacy, like, that's a freaking problem. And there's nothing we can do about it. We're just at the mercy of, the Leviathan that is Google. So Tenuity goes on to recommend shoring up match types and, being more specific. But then the other thing that they point out that I think, is in the back of everybody's mind, if you're running Google Ads anyway, is the fact that Google's been using broad match with or without permission through their close variance change. So if you're not familiar with this, let's say that you tell Google, I want exact match. I want this exact key phrase exactly, make no deviation. Google goes, well, this is kind of close, and just delivers whatever it thinks. They call it the close variance. But what about exact match? Didn't you understand, Google? You gave us phrase match. We've got broad match modify. We know that we can allow some expansion opportunity from when it works for us. And here's Google running around just like changing settings all willy-nilly. So between close variants, the fact that we can't see search terms, the fact that they want us to move to broad match, this is really interesting. I think what this is going to start to do is place a massive emphasis on the narrative. I think that ad agencies, and I'm as guilty as anybody, I think ad agencies need to realize that there's so much more importance now that's going to be placed on the value of the copy, the call to action, the value proposition, the hook, the landing page, because we can't control everything from a data-driven standpoint, which terrifies me because I'm a data nerd. We're not a creative agency. We run Google Ads because I'm good at data. But when the data begins to when it's taken away from us, I think the thing that we need to do is rely on the things that are controllable. And so, for instance, if you're delivering an ad to the wrong segment because Google is using close variance in a broad match paradigm and they're not going to show you search terms so you can push that away later, then you need ad copy that really attracts and repels at the same time. You have to rely very heavily on the narrative that you're putting forth to the world. So that's what we're going to really niche down into, I think, is making sure that the things that we say, who we say them to, and how we say them are as clear as they can possibly be. Because if you leave anything opaque, Google's putting you in a position where you could end up paying for it. Now, I actually expect that, it's a $1 trillion brand that's investing heavily into AI. I think that they're ultimately going to make this work. The problem is there's going to be so many casualties along the way. And if you're advertising, any amount of money right now, you're one of those casualties. You're in Google's sandbox here, and they're testing out whether or not they can actually, teach machines to advertise. So, I don't know. We'll see. I'm not trying to be Chicken Little, but there is. The sky really is kind of falling right now, y'all. Sunshine, rainbows. Everything's gonna be okay. I remember when Google rolled out the not provided provision. I don't remember when this was. I think it was like 2013 or something. It was a billion years ago. But I remember Rand Fishkin. I used to watch his videos every single day because he recorded a video almost every day. And I remember the video he recorded that day, and he got up and he just looked like somebody smacked him. Looked white as a ghost. And it was the end of SEO that day. And it kind of was in a lot of ways. Like everything that SEOs were doing up until that point became, it changed significantly. But SEO is still a thing. And they're still around. Obviously, Google Ads Managers are still going to be a thing. Media buyers are still going to be a thing. But they're making it needlessly difficult. And it's so that they can exert control and keep us from having, the levels of autonomy that would be necessary for us to really succeed in their ecosystem. They're forcing dependence. Which, for a totalitarian state, that's exactly what they want, right? And you got to pay to play. We're inside of their house. We got to play by their rules. So Anyway, that was it. I'll keep you updated with everything that I learn and find and see. Let me know if you disagree, by the way. I'd love to hear some dissent. So if I've said something that you think is stupid or that you don't agree with, or if I'm missing something, hit me in the comments. Thumbs up if you like the video. Subscribe if you want to see other videos. I go live just about every day. Or not live. I want to go live. If I have 1,000 subscribers, I get to go live. And I'm almost there. And I'll get there with your help. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.